Hello, this is attorney Mark Brunner, and thank you for joining me on Talking Texas Law. And today the question is?
So I called them to try to get the charges dropped. I'm the victim, and I thought I could just call in and get it all to stop. And they said no. And why is that?
You know, I hear a variation of that question many times. A lot of people think that because they're the complaining witness, they're the victim in the case, that because they're the ones that called the police, there's some way to now get the case turned off or dismissed. It's a perfectly reasonable and logical assumption. The problem is it's dead wrong. Now, why is that? Well, it's because the answer in Texas is the state of Texas owns that criminal case from the minute the police arrive. The police are going to be the ones who decide whether or not to file charges, not the victim, what particular charge to file, and then later it's going to be up to the state prosecutor's office, the local state prosecutor's office, to figure out how a case is going to unfold through the court process, whether a plea bargain is going to be offered, the case is going to be dismissed, whichever way that unfolds. Fair or not, that is the process. Now, if a victim tries to call in to a prosecutor's office to get his or her case against somebody else dismissed, likely they'll be referred to someone called a Victim Advocate Coordinator, or VAC, V-A-C. What will typically happen is that VAC is going to ask for a face-to-face meeting, making sure that that victim has not been pressured or threatened to try to get the charges dropped. And then they may have the person come in to fill out a formal form, what's called an affidavit of non-prosecution. That way they've got something that's kind of a court-quality piece of evidence they can then add to the case file. Now, what's important to understand is these VACs, they don't work for the victim, they don't work for the defendant. They work for the prosecutor's office and all that entails. You know, and sometimes some VACs are very diligent in making sure that they get the victim's wishes recorded into the case file, while other ones, frankly, they can be a bit obstructionist and sometimes make it difficult for a victim to come in and try to express their opinions about a case being dropped. But whether or not the victim tries to inform the state that they want the charges dropped in a fancy way or a formal way or an informal way, whether it's an affidavit or a phone call or an email, you know, their request carries no official weight. So that's the state of Texas does own the case 100%. You know, that's not to say that the victim's request to drop charges is meaningless. I mean, the defense attorney is going to love to know what the victim is feeling about a certain case. If they feel that they want to have that case dropped, defense attorney is going to want to know that, you know, and a really experienced prosecutor is going to want to know that same information. Prosecutors have a lot of cases. They have to prioritize their time, their attention, their court resources. And if there's a case where a victim is actively requesting to drop charges, they're going to want to know that also. You know, there's a hidden benefit to the idea that the state of Texas has total ownership over a criminal case. And that is, you know, just how a victim cannot force the state to file particular charges. A victim can also not force the state to file charges in the first place, or make the state offer a certain plea bargain or say that, no, you can't offer probation, you must offer prison time or whatever. So that ownership by the state of the criminal case cuts both ways. The victim can't make the police or the prosecutor do a certain thing. So for good or for bad, you know, once a criminal case gets filed in Texas, the state does have ownership, and that until that case goes all the way to trial, you know, finally into a judge or a jury. You know, as always, this video is being offered for informational and educational purposes only. It's not considered legal advice. This is not a legal consultation. And unless you are already a contracted client of mine, I am not your lawyer. This has been attorney Mark Brunner, once again on Talking Texas Law, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, y'all.